Hello Astoria, greetings from rainy Manchester in the UK. My name is Yaz and I am one of the directors of None of the Above, a zero budget micro comedy short that my brother and I made. We got into film. I can remember the moment that my brother and I decided we wanted to make movies and tell stories. We were little kids and we had just come out of the cinema to watch Toy Story, the original. And it was a complicated time for us at that point due to things that were going on in our family life. And I remember stepping out of that cinema as the credit music played and kind of coming back to real life and being amazed that I'd had that hour and a half of just forgetting about my problems for a moment. And both of us, had been transported somewhere completely different and then dropped back in the real world. And yet at the same time, the film had spoken to us about what was going on in our life. It had given us the tools to sort of think about and talk about the stuff that we were feeling. And so ever since that moment, we said we need to make movies because what they can do for people is just so fantastic. I've said all that, and the short film that you're about to watch is none of those things. It's a ridiculous comedy. Well, you can be the judge of how much it speaks to you. But anyway, that's where we started in film. Then we went in slightly separate directions in our teens. My brother got into skateboarding and I got into Shakespeare. He got into rock music, I got into maths. And then he moved into photography and visual arts and I moved into theatre and comedy. And we pursued separate careers for a few years. And then in our 20s, reconvened and said, hey, remember that dream about making movies? Let's get on with that. And we realized we had sort of separate interlocking skills that we could bring into our filmmaking work. And, you know, for me, I brought some of the skills I'd learned as a theatre director and working in comedy, and sometimes the scripts, which brings us to this project. Fast forward a few years, and we had just finished a run of commercials and music videos and were frustrated that we hadn't made something fun for a while. We hadn't made a narrative film for a little while. And we found ourselves with a spare week after another project had been cancelled. So we decided to adapt a short play script written by Tom Crawshaw, a comedy writer I'd worked with and who I also run a podcast with, who you can also see a little bit of. You can also see a little bit of that in the Astoria Festival as well. So we put the script together, filmed it in one day, the shortest day of the year, and the result is None of the Above. And we've been really, really pleased with the response from people. Really excited to be accepted into Astoria Film Festival, and really hope you enjoy it. Whether you interpret it as a silly throwaway comedy, or B, you know, a love letter to the fantasy genre, or transport you away from your problems and then bring you back to feel stuff, or D, simply C comes next, isn't it? C, a serious educational documentary about how the driving theory system works in the UK, or D, none of the above. However you want to interpret our film, we really hope you enjoy it. We're over the moon to be accepted into the festival. Wish we could be there in New York, and really hope you have fun watching our silly short film, None of the Above.